Hello, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Technique Tuesday. It's the last Tuesday of the month, and it's time to look at a new technique. So let me just get everything settled and started. My camera looks like it's working. Let me just adjust it a little bit to get the most view. So let's see how that is. I've made a little bit of a change, trying to get it to show more of the, there we go. Okay, that looks a little better. All right, so for tonight's technique, I'm going to show you a quick and easy watercolor background. And as I'm picking techniques, I always try to make sure that I'm picking something that you're going to have the supplies at home to replicate. And this easy technique is something that you most likely will have everything you need. So we are going to be using a clear block. I'm going to be using some of the Stampin' Right markers. I'm going to be using the Spotlight on Nature stamp set, which can be found in the online store. And I'm going to use some paper towels because it's going to get wet, and some scrap piece of paper to be stamping my image on, and of course we need some water. So I have two things. I have the Stampin' Up! Spritzer, which works great, and I have just the dollar store spray bottle. I buy these actually to use in my classroom when we're planting, and that way we have something, they're inexpensive, so I can have a whole bunch of stuff, water containers for the kids to use. So this is just a dollar store one, and then this is the Stampin' Up! Spritzer. Hi Roz, thanks for joining. So I have some samples to show you. You want the watercolor background to blend, and to do that you need a lot of water. So on this one here, I just spritzed it once, and you can see that the colors didn't really blend much. They started to, but not much. And here I spritzed it twice, so you can see much more blending happening. Again, this was, I believe, twice. And then you can see when I spritzed it a third time, we definitely are getting some blending. This, I used the Stamping Spritz tool. So again, I got a little bit of blending up here, getting better, and really spreading out there. So I did some extras because to make our card tonight, we're going to need a dry one. And so let me just show you what the card looks like when it's all said and done. And it's just a very simple card, using that blended background, and then using some accessories, a little bit of pop of color with the colored cardstock, and a little bit of gems and some baker's twine on the front of the card. So let me show you how I did this. All right, so I'm going to start with, I just cut a bunch of paper. So let me start with what I'm going to do on my block. You can use any Stampin' Up! Block. I'm using the D block. That makes a nice rectangle. I also like to use the H block too when I want it just on one side. So you get a nice big area there. But you can use this for any of your blocks. So I'm going to start with just coloring in my paper. And what I did was I took last year's in colors because they're very spring-like and they just work so well. So all you do is to take your Stampin' Right marker and start coloring on the background of your stamp. So this one was Shy Shamrock, and that's the paper I'm using as well. And then I'm going to just put some of the real bluish green, and it really, when you spritz it, turns blue. And this is the Summer Splash. Then I'm going to take the Petunia Pop and add a little bigger of a space. And if I think that I get any of the previous color on, I just put it down until it comes off. This is Pretty in Pink. And then I'm going to end with Peach Pie. They're such pretty colors. Now, let me just get everything ready to go. So I'm not going to want to get my paper wet. So I'm going to put my paper over here. And I'm going to put this on a sponge, a paper towel, a pile of paper towels, just so that if the water goes elsewhere, it has a place to go. And I'm going to start with my dollar one first, and I want it set on the fine spritz. So I'm just going to spray that a couple of times. And then I am going to take my block and I'm going to just press it down. There's a lot of water there. So now I'm going to just pick it up, and I can take the corner of my paper towels to get that extra water up. That is not bad for blending. Just put a little too much down to get that, that extra, but you can see how all the colors have just blended really nicely together. Okay, so I'm going to set that one aside. We'll do one more. This time I'll just spritz it twice. I cut a bunch of paper, and then I'll use the Stampin' Up spritzer. But if you get a really nice blend of the colors, that's what you want. You want something that's going to look like this, so that the colors are all blended together. Okay, I'm going to go in the same order. I'm going to put my Shy Shamrock down first. That's the darker green. The Summer Splash is a bluish green, so you get a lot of blue out of this. So that's going next. Then I'm going to go to my Petunia Pop. And it's okay to leave a little space because it's going to fill in. That way I don't have to worry about my Petunia Pop getting all Shy Shamrock on me. I'm going to put my Pretty in Pink. And then my Peach Pie. So it really is quick based on the size of the block you're using. Okay, again, I'm going to use my spritzer, but this time I'm only going to put 2 sprays on it. There we go. I did 3 last time. Bring this over and stamp. Lift it up, pick up some of that color, kind of like the blue in the center, so I'm not going to pick that up. I'm going to just wipe off my... So you can see with it's not as blended as this one is, but you can see what two spritz will do with the ordinary with the dollar store brand. So as long as you have a paper towel ready, just in case you get too much ink that you want to daub up. Okay, I'm going to do it again. And this time, yeah, I'm going to go in the same order. Thought about grabbing some other color combinations, but this is what I'm going to use to make the card, so I'll stay with this. So again, I'm going to just add my colors, change the thickness of each one, however you want to do. I do like to leave a little border here so I'm not messing up my lighter colors. We've got our pink, and now we'll put our peach pie at the top. And now I'm going to use the Stampin' Up! Spritzer. Now, I do find that the Stampin' Up! Spritzer works better if you hold the stamp up a little bit, but then you can also have some blending going on before you want it. So I'm going to spray it once, spray it twice, and I'm actually going to do this a third time because you're not getting as much water. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to turn this over, press down, and you're going to see some definite lines on this one. And see the difference with three squirts. You can see that it's not blending as well as it did with the larger bottle. So the amount of water really makes a difference. So we'll do this one more time, and we're going to use, we're going to put more water on it. So you almost want to see it starting to blend on your block that you're using. And I will tell you, this will clean your blocks really well because you're putting so much water on it and wiping them off. So if your stamp blocks need a cleaning, this is a good way to do that. So I hope you try this technique out and share some of your cards in the post. Remember that Facebook only keeps videos now for a month, and then they delete them. So I'm just saying you only have a month to get this done so everybody can see. All right, so let's spritz this again, and I'm going to do more than 3 this time. There's 1. There's 2, there's 3, there's 4. I'm going to do 2 more to get enough color going there. It's going to give me a lot of ink. Oops, I forgot to put my paper down. We don't want to just put it on the scrap paper. Let's grab a piece. I'm just using basic white cardstock. Now we've got some beautiful blending. And I'll get that green off. Look at that. Blended really nicely. We got a little green going off, but that's okay. But you've got the colors really blended well, and that's what I was looking for. So that's how you use a block to do some watercolor backgrounds. All right, so let's finish this card up. So, like I said, where did I put everything? I'm using an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of thick Whisper basic white cardstock. I have my dried blended background. This piece measures 3 3/4 by 5. I trimmed it down a little bit. The Shy Shamrock measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And let's put this together. So I'm going to start with a nice crease on my cardstock. There we go. So that's ready to go. I'm just going to put that aside. I'm going to take this and attach it to my Shy Shamrock. I'm just using, as I said, basic white paper. So I'm putting a little extra adhesive on so that it stays in place. It's been sitting overnight, so it's really dry now. But I just want to make sure that I'm not going to have any part of it, start to come off. Okay, so there we go with that. Now, this is the Pack Your Bags Twine 3-pack. We have in here Strawberry Slush, Azure Background, and Shy Shamrock. So I'm going to use this on my background after I do my stamping. So let me just get that out. I'm going to use Memento Black ink, and I'm going to ink up the beautiful floral image from Spotlight on Nature. And I am going to stamp this a little bit off to the left. And I'm going to stamp it off of that rectangle. There we go. And I am going to stamp the thanks also in the Memento Black. When I do a background like this, I like to use black ink over it. I just think it looks so sharp. So there's our thanks. So this will be a nice thank you card. All right, so now I'm just going to put a little adhesive on the back, so I have a place to start my twine. And I'm just going to wrap this around, going in some different directions, like that, and I'm going to trim it. So it's on my card securely. So there we go with that. And I'm going to do a double bow. So I just fold over the baker's twine and tie a bow with both pieces. And then I just even it out a bit. Make sure these are all the same size, and then I'm just going to trim it, and I end up only having, when I do it that way, you can see I just have the tiniest bit of scrap ribbon, so it just really saves that. Alright, so I'm going to get my glue dots, because this is going to go right on the front where those where the ribbon crossed over, so it's almost right on the stem. So I'm just going to put that on a glue dot, and then add this right here. And then I'm using these go with the In Colors. They're the 2024-2026 In Color resin dots. And I'm just going to use these on the front of the card. So I'm going to use the Summer Splash. And I'm going to use a large and 2 small. So that's what our front panel looks like. So pretty. And then I am going to add dimensionals. So let me grab those out of my drawer. And let's put those on the back. So I'm going to put 2 in the middle, and then 1 in each corner. Take these backings off, and then I just have to put this on the front of the card. and I am all set. So it's a very easy technique, and you probably have everything at home. If you don't have a spritzer, just go to the dollar store. You can get them for $1. And I'm just going to center this on the front. Let me just make sure that looks good. And there we go. We have tonight's Technique Tuesday card all set. So thank you so much for joining me either on the Facebook Live, on the replay, or on my YouTube channel. And I will see you Friday night for another edition of Funfold Friday. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you Friday. Good night, everybody.